All right. So today's car is the Zeekr 7X, and hopefully over the next few minutes of this video you kind of get an idea of what the car is, what it offers, where the luxury stands, where it doesn't, and so on, so forth. The Zeekr 7X is, well, to be honest, a really premium offering from Zeekr. If you don't know what the brand is an all-EV brand from China. It's been around in the UAE for a few years now, and right from the 001 to the Zeekr X, I have been impressed with what they have to offer. And one of the biggest things that this car has done is given me let's say a size I like. The Zeekr X is their smaller one, and their 001 is, well, sporty but station wagony. And in this particular case, I'm really happy about this sort of SUV-esque size that we have. Now, before we go any further, you guys know me, my name is Danesh. If you are coming to the channel for the first time, I'm a guy who tries to make tech and automotive simple for you. Now, tech is my main. I have been in the tech industry for a very, very long time now, but automotive on my channel is relatively new. I have done it in previous jobs, but I like to speak of things very simply. I like to think of, because I consider myself an slightly above average car user. I have friends who have an immense knowledge of the automotive industry, but I just, I like to enjoy them just the way they are. I don't go deep diving into specs, so if that's something you're going to look for, this won't be the place. But yeah, if you do enjoy the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get cracking with the Zeekr 7X. All right, so the Zeekr 7X. Now, there are three variants. I'm in the performance mode, then you've got the long range, and you've got the regular base model as well. Pricing wise, they're pretty okay price. The one I'm driving is about 209,000 dirhams. The long range is 189, and the regular is 169,000 dirhams. I think that in this sort of, what do you want to call it, current state of affairs, the car is pretty well priced. This in no way, shape is a ultra premium car, but it's definitely in the premium segment. You've got beautiful materials everywhere, and the touch and feel is fantastic. So, starting out with the exterior of the car. Now, when it comes to the front of this car, I think it is stunning. This beautiful, the front looks absolutely gorgeous. You've got those beautiful LED lights, and you've got that whole dot matrix thing happening. I really like it. I think it looks so unique from the front, very recognizable. But it's the back where I'm a little iffy about it. It's not that great. Like, again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, of course, and maybe some other people might like it. I personally didn't really care for it. Funny enough, I even saw 2-3 cars that looked very similar to it. I guess must be some sort of Chinese factory design sharing kind of thing. But listen, it's a very nice, very, very very decent looking car. Size wise, it's not too bulky, it's not too small. You've got very nice 5 seats. As far as the driver's seat goes, all the buttons and feel around the car is very nice. The steering wheel has this nice leather feel. I do like the fact that it has flat tops and bottoms. That's definitely very exciting. You've got this beautiful huge screen right here in front. Now, currently I'm using CarPlay on it. It has Android Auto as well. What I will tell you is that the buttons for the windows are really cheap feeling. I didn't really care for them. They just don't feel great. They just don't respond as well as I'd expect in a car like this. And I know this is funny, but if you guys have seen my other videos, I've whined about window buttons being really weird in Chinese cars, and I hope that in time they start sort of concentrating on it a bit more. But yeah, the rest of the door feels very nice. You've got this Alcantara feel here on the bottom. You've got their, oh man, the Chinese guys love their diamond pattern, the lighting system, which will also be the ambient lighting later in the evening. And then you've got the soft touch leather feel on top, which is also really, really nice. So on the overall, the car on the inside feels very, very nice to sit in. And the tech and gizmos are all over the place, but we'll come to that in just a minute. Apart from that, you've got audio by Zeekr themselves, and they very proudly badged it all over saying Zeekr sound, which I think is pretty cool. I'm glad to see a brand kind of add to that, but I do not like this metal design. I know it's a copy of some other brand. I can't remember which brand, but I don't like this design at all. I think it's actually the oddest thing in the interior of the car. They could have just gone with a nice hidden speaker, and that would have looked really good. Apart from the main display, you've obviously got the display right in front of you, and in this performance version, I've got a pretty sizable heads-up display as well, which is useful in times, but it's all right. I'm not saying it's the best one I've seen. Funny enough, I think that the amount of information it gives, just duplicating the screen right here, just makes no sense to me. I don't see why two screens have to show the same information in the same way. But before I go any further into the tech, now this is an EV, so you've got an extremely smooth ride. You've got that beautiful EV feel, which can also be that submarine-ish feel for people. I will say this, it's not as obvious to me as has been in previous scenarios, but it is a very, very smooth and comfortable ride. The performance version that I have, I think, has 21-inch rims and some pretty nice tires. I think the regular and long range get 20. Now, in terms of range, of course, the long range is the best with 620 kilometers of range. When I received the performance version, it had 99% battery and was showing me 543 kilometers. I've driven about 200 odd kilometers, and it's been pretty efficient, I gotta say. But that being said, I also drive it very, very sensibly, especially when it comes to an EV, and your mindset immediately changes the way you drive, and you start driving much more smoother and much more efficiently. So I think that I've done things like put it on comfort mode and put my regeneration at high. So I think it's been very efficient in terms of the drive. I've just sped around a bit here and there just to see the power of the performance mode. All right, but coming back to the range, the regular version does about 460 kilometers, and as far as acceleration goes, the regular and long range do 0 to 100 in 6 seconds, whereas this one does it in 3.8 seconds, which is pretty cool. But I mean, spoiler alert, if you've seen any of my EV videos, you know I will always get the long range version. I think the whole point of an EV is just to be nice and comfortable and just drive casually. And considering that this is pretty efficient as far as its range is concerned, yeah, I'd get the long range version for sure. Now, before we go any further, one thing to keep in mind while I have these cars is that, especially in the case of Zeekr, I do have access to them even after I return them. And if there's something very specific that you want tested, shown, just let me know, and I can always speak to the team at Zeekr and get my hands on the car. So yeah, jump into the comments and let me know if there's something specific. All right, now we need to jump into the tech of it all, because yeah, an EV is all about the tech, right? And this car has some crazy stuff. If you notice in the start of the video, I walked into this car without touching the door. Opening and closing the door is so easy. For everyone in the car, you just walk up to the door, press a button, and the car door just opens. For the driver, you just hold down the brake and the doors close as well. It is one of those ridiculous features that I don't see myself living without after this car goes away. I loved it. I know it sounds so silly, but it's one of those perks of just having a door open and close for you, which is so cool. And I love that this car has it. Apart from that, you've got your AC controls, which are all in the screen as well. Basically, everything can be controlled from this screen. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love that cars are getting more technological. I love it. But there has to be an alternate around at all times. AC controls. You want me to be a good driver, you want me to drive, safe and everything, but then you don't, my AC controls, I have to like press 5 things on the screen. Like, look at this, all right? I have to come here, and then I have to kind of look at the screen. Like, if I want to adjust my vents or whatever, I'm looking down at the screen. And the brand might reply to me and be like, oh no, Danish, you can use the Zeekr voice commands. You can, but it's not the best way. It's not my preferred way of sort of working at it. I think that there should be an alternate, even if it's a screen. I can't remember which car had it, but there was a car that had a specific screen just for the AC controls. Similarly for locking and unlocking. Like, I'll give you an example, right? My wife does not like this whole auto door opening thing at all. She hated it. But at one point, she goes and presses the button, and now she's not a techie person, right? When I use the feature, from the first second, I understood that when you press the button, the door needs a bit of space and it detects if you're standing in front of the door. With my wife, it did that, but when you're using the auto feature, the handles don't work. You have to change those from a setting. Or if I want to open it for my wife, I have to go into the settings, spin the car around, select the setting for her door, and then click on open. Like that, there's just too many extra steps. You could make it smarter where, I don't know, maybe it detects a person on the side and gives me a little pop-up which says that, would you like to open a passenger door, or something like that. But yeah, it's one of those things as far as tech is concerned that I wish they would simplify a bit. You know what I mean? I wish they would make it, either give us some tactile options as well, or give us a better, I don't know, AI assistant or better sensing and stuff like that. Now, another place where, in my opinion, they unnecessarily teched it up was the steering wheel controls as well. I get it, you wanted something nice and smooth and so on and so forth, but I won't lie, 3 days in, I still haven't figured out properly how to adjust the the things being shown on my screen. Similarly, you've got a customizable button here, but I want more functionality from it. So give me like a single click, double click kind of thing, or something like that. I think the oversimplification of buttons is a bit unnecessary, and I would like to hope that they change that. Another example is cruise control. You'd think cruise control is here, right, on one of these buttons. It's not. It's been put onto the parking handle thing, and I get it. They've made it a double click there, but I don't see why that needed to be done. And adjusting the settings, like you've got partial bit of settings on the knob over here, you've got partial settings over here. It's just, I don't know, man. It just seems a bit unnecessary simplification in my personal opinion. But I'd love to know what you guys think. I'd love to know what you guys think about this entire sort of revolution. I know that the EU is changing rules and stuff like that, which will affect generally the globe and all that, but I'd love to know what you think. If you are EV owners, I don't know, if you want a Tesla or something, how do you like it not having any buttons and stuff like that? Maybe if I spend more time with this car, I'd change. I don't know, but let me know what you think. Now, as far as tech in the interior cabin goes, right in front of the armrest, which is openable on both sides, you've also got another little cubby which you can close, and again, that same search for a clean look, fair enough. And then ahead of that, you've got 2 wireless charging pads. I will say this, the phones do warm up, and the fans that they've integrated into the vents they've integrated don't really do anything great, in my personal opinion. They my phone ended up staying warm, and twice I've switched off the wireless charging feature altogether. So yeah, you've also got a storage area below, which houses 2 USB ports. Now, in the back of the car, you've got a decent amount of space. While it is a 5-seater, the middle seat is so-so. You've also got cameras on the side, which I actually don't know what they're for. Are they for baby monitoring, or are they for a safety feature? I'm not completely sure. Maybe if I activate one and put it on, I can check that out. But yeah, you've got a camera at the back as well. Again, adjustable seats, very comfortable. For the driver and the passenger, you've got massage seats. Again, not sure if this is available in all versions. I think it's locked to the long range and the performance. But again, the massager is decent. I didn't really jump in joy while using it, but it was fine. It's all right. No sort of major problem there. And then speaking of cameras, thanks to the amount of cameras and sensors you do have auto parking. I will say this, it wasn't great. If I had to give it a score on 10, I'd give it a 5.5 or 6 maybe. Because in my building parking, it even though it would see a spot, it wouldn't confirm that it's a spot where you can park. And you would have to sort of directionally put the car in place before you could start the parking. And then in the parking itself, considering I've seen other cars, like let's say the Neo EC6 and ET6 do auto parking, it was okay. I'm not saying it didn't park. I'm not saying it struggled. It achieved its goal. It just took a while to get there, and I'm not sure I cared for that. Like, I want it to be faster. I will say this, I didn't try it out in other parking scenarios. I just tried it in my building, but yeah, it was a bit iffy. And considering, like I said, I've seen cars like the EC6, which is in a similar price range, do it much better. Yeah, I gotta judge it a bit there, but it's again a nice feature to have. All right, now before we go any further, if you are enjoying this video, please do like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment, interact. Most importantly, please feel free to teach me along the way. I have no issues whatsoever accepting the fact that I have limited knowledge as far as cars are concerned, and I do not mind sort of learning from you guys as well. So please feel free to let me know your thoughts. Let me know what prices are like in your market. Let me know what your thoughts are of the Zeekr brand. But yeah, I hope to see your support. And moving on. Now, like I mentioned, the car has a bunch of sensors and stuff like that, and that helps with a whole range of features. So you've got things like Sentry mode, of course. You've got Sentry mode with alarm, of course. You've got car wash mode, which I really thought was funny, but really nice to see that kind of checklist where you can kind of check, you know, that everything that needs to be safe in a car wash is safe. And you've of course got all your driving safety features. You've got lane management. You've got alerts in the speaker, in the headrest. You've got fatigue assist, which I think is way too sensitive. Like, I'm sitting with my wife and I'm talking to her, and I'm just like, you know, you talk and you look and you talk and you look, and it's like, you seem fatigued, rest right now. And I'm just like, calm down, bro, like relax. But yes, it does have those sensors. You've also got emergency braking, emergency rear collision mitigation. You've got emergency front collision mitigation. So from a safety standpoint, this is a 2026 modern ass car. So I don't see sort of anyone having a problem with it. I think that you would feel very safe in this car. Now, thanks to all that tech, obviously customization is immense. You can adjust your seat, I don't know, some 20 odd ways, which really sort of was one of those things where I really took my time to find exactly what I want out of my seat, which was nice. The heads-up display is adjustable, steering wheel's adjustable, and full-on periscope front and back, up and down, side and side. You've also got driving adjustments whereby you can adjust your suspension between high, low. It does an automatic adjustment if you've set it a certain way and kind of forgot about it. So like right now I'm driving in low mode. Earlier yesterday I had to drive on a bit of a bumpy path, so I've moved the suspension upwards. So things like that, like it just generally keeps you very comfortable, and all that tech really adds up to a very precise customization. In no way, shape or form am I saying that this is the only car to have it. I'm just telling you about my experience over here. So even as I sat in the car on the first day, like I sat, customized everything I could, checked every setting I could, and just like really drilled into my comfort as far as the experience is, as far as the driving experience is concerned. Like, just to give you a bit of an example about what I like in my driving and how I customized it. So that was a brake monitor in like when I'm driving at 10. A good example of a bit of ultra unnecessary alertness sometimes. But coming to that example of my customization, one of them, for example, is that I like my steering to be in the sport mode where it's nice and tight, but I don't need that from my suspension. Similarly with my seat, I like to sit in a lower position, but I like the car to be higher. So it's one of those things where you get all these customizations and it adds up to a pretty comfortable experience, which I really like and I've genuinely enjoyed while sort of driving this car. All right, now coming to which car I would get. I already said this, I'll get the long range version. If I have all the comforts that I have here and I remove the fast acceleration and put in an extra 100 kilometers range at 189,000 dirhams with some sort of maybe service package or whatever, oh man, banger deal. I think it's a really, really, really good deal. It's a spacious car. It gives you everything you need. It takes care of range anxiety. There's no real problem I can think of it. It would be a very subjective choice based on the competition that's available to you and stuff like that. If you're looking for an EV, especially considering the way fuel costs are going up right now, might just be something to look into.